Welcome into another fun edition of Chalk Talk. It is already episode 2 of our season, and I'm ready to go, Ben. We're in season number 3. We're week 2 of the NFL, week 3 already of college football. Off and away we go. We had a nice week 1. Let's keep it up, right?
Yeah. A little bit of a slow start for me going with that Thursday night game, Bucs Cowboys, and the Cowboys wound up covering the 8-point spread there. So I lost that one, but bounced back on Sunday.
Bounced back strong.
Yeah, you went 2-1 as well. So hey, we'll take that.
We feel great. Here are the records right now, as you can see behind us. We are both 66.6% against the number. Can we stop now? Let's just stop this thing. We both go 2-1. We were happy with that.
I've got more winning to do.
I like that. We'll just to recap quickly. Ben mentioned it. I hit Oregon plus 14.5. Also had the Broncos minus 2.5 against the Giants. I don't think the Giants are very good. Yeah. You hit the Browns plus 6. That got close. And you had the Panthers minus 4.5. You cover that by a half point. They won that game by 5. The Sam Darnold revenge game. Yep. And then I dropped the Falcons minus 3.5. You mentioned you dropped the Bucs. So, hey, we'll take 66.6 against the number. We'll keep tabs of our records all season long. Ben, just 2 things I wanted to throw at you. Ohio State. Yeah. They lose to Oregon. First home loss since 2017. I think that was when Baker Mayfield was planting the flag for Oklahoma. That's a span of 23 games at home. Just what did you make of what you saw against the Oregon Ducks, who are a very good team, but it's rare you see Ohio State lose at home like that.
Yeah, I mean, that was Ohio State's not only first home loss since 2017, but their first regular season loss under Ryan Day, which now dates back the span of 2 seasons. Look, this Ohio State program has problems, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I think that's something that really, we saw that against Minnesota in the Buckeye season opener on the Thursday night game in week 1. I think against the team as talented as Oregon, that came back to bite them. I think they have real issues, not only schematically, but the way they're developing talent. So it's going to be interesting to see. Ryan Day had his press conference earlier this week, really made no bones about the fact that they have issues defensively, that they're going to make some schematic changes. So, I mean, look, if in the big picture, if Ohio State was going to lose a game, that was the game for them to lose this season. But I think the bigger concern now is just how do they address those issues moving forward, and are they fixable within the span of a season?
I'm thinking about some of the top teams in the Big Ten. Right now you've got Iowa at number 5. Penn State is going to hang around. They've got a big game this weekend with Auburn. But among those top teams maybe that we look at in the Big Ten Conference, you'd still, despite the loss, put Ohio State right there with those teams, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'll take Ohio State's talent over the rest of the Big Ten, period. Just I think they recruit at such a higher level. It's just a matter of, if this is going to be a team that has to win shootouts, can you do that week in and week out with a quarterback in C.J. Stroud, who has just been a little bit up and down, hasn't been as reliable as Justin Fields was the previous 2 seasons. So we'll see here. And
then with the Browns, I feel like there's a sense of a split among the fan base, right? There's disappointment that you don't win that football game that you led at halftime, and the Browns had played so well, but then there were so many mistakes. So there's disappointment. But, Ben, there's got to be some hope. I mean, they looked really darn good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we talk about Ohio State falling in the rankings after that loss. I think the Browns rose in a lot of power rankings compared to where they were entering the season. I mean, they were right there with the Chiefs. Definitely a game that could have gone either way. But, man, the margin for error against that Chiefs team is just so small. It's like playing the Golden State Warriors in the NBA. So we'll see here. The Browns have a nice stretch of games coming up here. From a win-loss perspective, that should be friendly. We'll see how they do against the spread, though.
Yeah, and I think Ben's got something up his sleeve there. Well, let's get to it. This is week 2 of our picks. Again, week 3 of the college football season. Week 3 of the college football season. Week 2 of the NFL. We are picking all games against the number. All of it for entertainment purposes only here in Ohio, but we do it all through the lens that is sports betting. Again, we're having fun with this, and we'll be doing it throughout the season. Ben, I think you came up with a great idea. We're basically picking 3 either sides or totals each week. So we could mix in some totals, too. We don't do that this week yet, but we got to get to some over-unders here maybe soon. All right, pick number 1 for me. I am going to start in the ranks of college. This is a noon kickoff on Saturday. I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Bearcats -3. I think a lot of people sometimes fall victim to the conference. You see that Cincinnati is in the American Conference and they're up against a Big Ten team. And I think Coach Allen has done a great job with Indiana, especially last year. They beat Penn State. They had some nice wins, go to a bowl game. But I just think Cincinnati is a really strong team right now. Desmond Ridder will be the best player on the field. He's the quarterback at Cincinnati. They run the football well. They've got a really nice defense. I think that's another team that actually went up in terms of power rankings when they went toe-to-toe with Georgia in the bowl game. Maybe Georgia didn't want to be there as much, but I thought Cincinnati played them really tough in that game, and I think it really set the stage for this year. And Ben, I'm going to go on record saying it now. If they win this game against Indiana on the road, if they beat Notre Dame in a couple of weeks, they run the table, which would include a victory probably over UCF, who's a very good team. If they can do all that, I think they have a chance, not a lock or anything, I think they have a chance to crash the college football playoff.
That would certainly be interesting. I think this week is a very interesting week to bring up Cincinnati. And I know this is a concern you share as well when it comes to the Bearcats. At least this week, USC fires Clay Helton. Big primetime, top 10 college football job open now. Luke Fickell is like that next guy up. He is the guy. I think he's the co-favorite with Penn State coach James Franklin to be the Trojans' next head coach. Do you worry about that chatter?
Yes,
I mean, Luke Fickell has dealt with this before with Michigan State, with other jobs coming open. But, man, this is USC. I mean, this is a job you would think that if he wants it, it's his. Yeah,
there's a little bit of shop talk on the air. I have some notes here, okay? And my top note, without Ben looking at him, says there's only one concern for me in this game. Do the Luke Fickell rumors to USC heat up way too much? And that is a concern for me. And maybe Indiana plays that up a little bit. Hey, he doesn't want to be there, whatever. The one thing I will say, I don't know if he stays because I think USC is a great job. Cincinnati does go to the Big 12 next year. It sounds like, right? They're petitioning. No, if not next year, is it the year after that?
I think it's a couple of years.
Okay, a couple of years. But them, BYU, UCF, they've all applied to get into the Big 12. That's a Power 5 conference. Hasn't seemed like a Power 5 conference over the last few years. But so I think this program has gotten to a point where they're legit. And by the way, first time since 2011 that a school from Ohio has been ranked higher than Ohio State in the AP poll. So we'll see there. So I'm going to go with the Bearcats -3. I actually don't think the game should be that close unless these rumors get crazy. So like the Bearcats -3. All right, Ben, your first pick for us of the week.
Yeah, we're going to shift gears to the NFL. Man, I hate NFL Week 2. You hate
this?
Well, you just have to worry about these overreactions to these lines because Week 1 is such a small sample size. You're going off of what you thought you knew about each team, so on and so forth. I'm going to take a road dog here. I'm going to take the Denver Broncos -6 at the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Road favorite.
Road favorite. Yeah, I'm sorry, road favorite. And what I'm thinking here is these are two teams that kind of confirmed what I thought about them heading into Week 1. The Jaguars, man, they lose to the Houston Texans. We'll get to them in a little bit. The Houston Texans entered this season expected to be the worst team in the NFL. They blow out the Jacksonville Jaguars. Meanwhile, the Denver Broncos, they take on the New York Giants on the road. They lay the wood to the New York Giants. They look good with Teddy Bridgewater in there. There's some injury concerns with Jerry Jeudy going down, but I think this defense is legit.
Their defense is good again.
Defense is really good. Healthy again. Good wide receivers. Solid quarterback in Teddy Bridgewater. I just think, man, these Jaguars, they have their work cut out for them. I think they're in for a long season, and I think the Broncos, even as a road favorite here, I think they cover a 6-point spread.
Yeah, my only fear is the spread. I think the Broncos win the game. I do. I think they're going to find a way to win this game either by a field goal or 4 points. 6 gets a little bit scary for me. But you're right, the Jags might be really bad.
I think you don't see a lot of blowouts in the NFL. I think you could see a lot of blowouts with this Jaguars team. I really do.
You could. All right, I have agreement there with Ben. I'm just a little worried that number's a little too high. All right, second pick for me. We're going to go back to college quick, and then I do have one NFL pick for the week. So my second pick, I'm going to go with the Nebraska Cornhuskers getting 22 points at Oklahoma. Ben, this game almost did not happen. There was rumors that Scott Frost and the athletic department, they did not want to play this game, an old Big 12 rivalry matchup. Who could blame them? I don't think they're going to win this football game. Somehow, some way, though, I do think this Nebraska team, even despite a loss in Week 1 against Illinois, they've kind of taken this approach of, and we saw it last year a little bit, Ben, when they wanted to maybe play a season when we didn't know if the Big Ten was going to play a season, and then the Big Ten made them open up with Ohio State and Wisconsin to have fun with that. I do think Nebraska has this feeling of us against the world, and maybe that's not conducive to any victories or major victories, but they've won 2 straight games. They looked pretty darn good against Buffalo, who's one of the better teams in the MAC. They hosted them. I know they have to go on the road here. Oklahoma, though, and I know they've got a lot of pieces, parts. The defense has improved. Spencer Rattler's one of the best players in college football. They struggled at home against Tulane. I know there was a lot going on there, but I thought there was more going on there for Tulane with the hurricane and everything, and they had to play that game in Norman. I think having a player like Adrian Martinez, who I know hasn't seemingly gotten any better since his first year.
Which was in 1993, I think.
I think they do enough here to keep it close within, what is it, the 22. That's a lot of points in this matchup. I am the same guy that took the Kansas Jayhawks, I think, plus 37 last year against Oklahoma, and they covered easily. Yeah. It's just a lot of points, and I think Nebraska is way better than Kansas. So I'm going to take Nebraska here. An old school Big 12 rivalry showdown. They're kind of going us against the world. Of course, Oklahoma's the better team. Of course, Oklahoma wins this game. I just think Nebraska keeps it close.
Yeah, last year when you were twisting my arm and making me do college picks every week, I remember riding.
He's picked 0 college games this year, by the way.
I remember riding Oklahoma under the idea that Spencer Rattler was the next guy up, that he was following Kyler Murray after Baker Mayfield. He was going to be the next great Oklahoma quarterback. He's good. He's not Baker Mayfield or Kyler Murray,
I'm
though.
with you on that.
You mentioned Desmond Ridder with the Cincinnati earlier. Spencer Rattler entered this season, I think a lot of people expecting him to separate himself as the future -- 1 overall pick, or at least
Heisman,
the first quarterback taken. I don't know if he's there. Sam Howell, Malik from the kid
Cunningham?
from Liberty.
From I know
I
you're
think
talking
Lewis.
about. That's right.
And then I lost my train of thought.
That's okay.
Yeah, Sam Howell. So lots of quarterbacks in this league are in the college football right now.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm going to take Nebraska here, but with the 22. Again, I don't think they win. I just think it's close. So 2 college picks for me. I'll have an NFL pick coming up. We'll get Ben to pick a college football game this year, I promise you. Okay, his second pick.
After that analysis, I'm not so sure.
All right, second pick of the week for you. Ooh, got a big one on Sunday Night Football. Ben's going to tap into right here, Chiefs and Ravens.
Yeah, we're going to get back to Sunday Night Football here, get back to my comfort zone of the NFL. Man, I watched the Ravens, not only watching the Ravens on Monday Night Football and that loss to the Raiders where, really they could have won that game. But man, you look at their offseason, all the injuries that they've had. I just don't see it with this Ravens team. I just think they're at the point where it's, last year it was like with the 49ers, you just get one injury too many. And not only the running backs, but losing Marcus Peters, losing Rashad Bateman. I just don't see the weapons there with Lamar Jackson. I don't see the offensive line. They had a lot of losses on that defense over the course of the offseason. And man, just anytime I can get the Chiefs under 3, that's kind of just take Patrick Mahomes and cover the 3 points. So again, another road favorite here, but this Chiefs offense is so good. We saw on Sunday against the Browns, they can turn it on in the blink of an eye. So I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs -2.5.
No disagreement here. We saw the machine that is the Kansas City Chiefs. And yeah, the Ravens lose to a Raiders team that is okay. I think they're good. Yeah. I would say they're good. They beat the Browns last year too. We saw that. I mean, they can win some games. They have some players. But yeah, I think the Ravens, these injuries have really hurt them. And I think part of what makes Lamar Jackson such a dynamic player is the fact that they did have J.K. Dobbins. They do have terrific running backs that can kind of offset defenses. I think now teams are saying, hey, if we can get the Ravens into 3rd and long, they're in big trouble because it's either Lamar's scrambling or they're trying to throw a screen pass that you can actually defend now. So I'm with you on this. No disagreement from me here. You can get the Chiefs under a field goal. It feels like there's some value there. We're having way too much agreements here. All right, I'm going to finally go into the NFL. And what do they say? The hair of the dog that bit you? Yeah. That's what I'm going to do here.
We'll get some disagreement here.
All right, so week 1, I did have 1 blemish on my record, went 2-1, and the loss was the Atlanta Falcons. They were at home, -3.5 against the Eagles. We basically trashed the Eagles the entire show. And I said, all right, I know the Falcons haven't been right since the Super Bowl loss, but I think they'll be fine. They were not fine. Oh. They've got all sorts of problems. But saying all that, what do we call week 2 in the NFL? Overreaction week. You mentioned it earlier. I believe that if the Falcons had found a way to win that game or even keep it close and had the Bucs lost in week 1 to the Cowboys.
Which was very possible.
Which is possible. I feel like this line would be 8.5 or 9. I really do. So I feel like there is value getting 13 points. Saying all of that, yes, Brady could go down the field and they just absolutely trash this team. That is a possibility. But I think there's more of a chance that the Falcons at least give themselves a chance to backdoor cover this game late. Even if they're down by 17, 18, 19, if they go score a late touchdown, they can cover the spread. And it's a divisional game. Okay. These teams play each other close. So that's what I'm going with.
Yeah, no,
I know you disagree. You're going to take the Bucs every week.
You talked me into it. If I had to pick a side here, I would take the Falcons +13.
It's just a lot of points.
Look, I think 13 points, divisional game. It's not like the Falcons are one of these teams like the Jaguars Jaguars, who I just think is devoid of talent. Like the Falcons have talent across that roster. But, man, I liked your Falcons over Eagles pick so much last week. We do this show for entertainment purposes only, right?
We do.
I took it in my own personal picks pool, which was not for entertainment purposes only. So I am very mad at the Falcons right now. I'm mad at you personally. I'll get over it by the end of the season. I could not go back to the Falcons after how they looked. I think you want to talk about overreactions. Matt Ryan looks kind of done. I mean, Matt Ryan at 36 years old, I think people are going to start questioning the Falcons taking a tight end 4th overall instead of a quarterback.
That's a good point. You know, they take Pitts, this tremendous player.
He had like 4 catches.
That's a good point. You know, why aren't we thinking about the quarterback of the future there? I mean, even the Green Bay Packers were drafting a quarterback.
Yeah, right. 2 years too early. So I get the logic. I agree with going against the overreaction, all that. But, man, I cannot go back to the Falcons after the way they let me down last week.
All right, well, I'm going to go with the Falcons again. I will say this to the Atlanta Falcons if they are watching us, and they probably aren't. Yeah. If they were, though, if they lose, I will never touch them again, okay? I will never touch the Falcons again. They are getting 13 against the Bucs. Ben, your third and final pick as we wrap up episode 2 of Chalk Talk here.
Yeah, I think we will get some disagreement on this one. I tend to just be a giant homer and always take the Browns. I'm going to take the Browns again here. I had to get a home favorite in the mix here. I'm taking the Browns minus 11 at the versus the Texans.
At home opener.
In First Energy Stadium. Look, I just think the Browns are a good team, and I don't think this is. I think we saw with Kevin Stefanski last year that they get too high or too low based on the previous week. I don't think you're going to see a team, that's down after the loss to the Chiefs. And I think the Texans. I'm going to bank on the Texans being who I think they are. I think that win last week over the Jaguars said more about the Jaguars than it did about the Texans. I just cannot imagine, this Texans team led by Tyrod Taylor and Brandon Cooks and Mark Ingram keeping pace with this Browns rushing attack. Baker Mayfield looked very good under his second year under Kevin Stefanski last week against the Chiefs. So, man, I just think this is a runaway win for the Browns here. I think the Browns showed last year they had the ability to bounce back. They had that blowout loss to the Ravens in week 1. They came back with a big win on Thursday night against the Bengals. So I just think this is a spot. This is almost like a college team after a disappointing loss last week. This is like a really good get-right opponent in the Texans.
I think the Browns win the football game. The only reason you have disagreement from me is because it's a double-digit situation. A double-digit team, even if they're on the road, that's just a lot of points in the NFL. Anything 10 or over in the NFL, start getting a little nervous. It's a way different game than college, no matter how bad the team is. Saying that, I am amazed that this line is still 11 and is like 11.5 or even 12.5 some different places when you think about what the Texans did in week 1. And I think that tells us a lot of what odds makers think about the Browns and what they think about the Texans, kind of what you just hit on. I think there's a lot of people out there that are going to look at it and say, well, look at how great the Texans looked in week 1. Let's take them getting the 11.5, and they lose 40-14. I think you're right. I think there's going to be blowouts in the NFL this year. So, saying all that, just because of the points, I'm going to disagree with you. But all your logic behind it makes sense. So
I appreciate that.
All right, here we go. So we are both 2-1 heading into week 3. We're going to head into week 3 next week. We'll have more college and NFL picks against the number, all of it for entertainment purposes only. For Ben Axelrod, I'm Nick Camino. Thanks for watching us here on Chalk Talk, and good luck.